Coming up on DC News Now at 4, a monumental move on the horizon for two of DC's pro sports teams.
This is monumental.
The Wizards and Capitals prepped for a move to Potomac Yard in Virginia, but not so fast.
Washington, D.C. team should play in Washington, D.C.
Plus, how are fans reacting and how would a move impact businesses in the district? We've got team coverage throughout the hour.
Well, temperatures tonight will be dipping down into the upper 20s to lower 30s, but a warm-up is in that 7-day.
Then, 'tis the season for holiday parties, but experts say
if you don't want to go, you don't have to go.
More advice on this Wellness Wednesday.
And you shouldn't have to break the bank to stuff your stockings. We're stretching your dollar before the holiday shopping season.
You're watching the station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
And thanks for joining us on this Wednesday for DC News Now at 4. I'm Mark Hall.
And I'm Annalisa Gale. A historic and some may even say monumental day for sports in the district. This morning, Virginia leaders announcing a plan to move the Washington Wizards and the Capitals to a brand new $2 billion site in Potomac Yard.
And Annalisa, needless to say, they were excited to go into more detail this morning.
We have a plan to unleash a brighter, more extraordinary future. And our monumental ascension begins now.
This will be the time we bring professional sports to Virginia.
And with an announcement this historic, obviously there are questions. How are fans reacting? How will the district respond? And how is this going to be paid for? Well, we have team coverage on this monumental move this afternoon. Our reporters are covering every side of this announcement, and Sports Director Derek Forrest will join us shortly.
Well, we start with our Haley Milon, who's live for us in Alexandria this afternoon. Haley, what can you tell us about what we know about this historic plan?
Well, Mark, Annalisa, if this does come to fruition, Virginia would get not only its first, but its second as well Major League sports team ever in the Commonwealth. Now, this is where it would all take place. This is really where I'm standing, the heart of the project. I'm standing on the balcony of the Potomac Yard Metro Station, about 2 blocks to my right, so to the screen's left is Route 1, and then to my left is the river, and right over my left shoulder is the airport. So that gives you a sense of where this would be. And right behind me is the tent where the ceremony and the celebration took place this morning with the announcement. Now, the plan doesn't require upfront taxpayer investment, but it relies heavily on bonds from a stadium authority that would be paid back as the district grows and generates revenue. Both the Capitals and the Wizards, as well as Monumental Sports and Entertainment's headquarters, would come to the site. There would be businesses built around the stadium, and leaders discussed a performing arts center, convention center, hotels, and other amenities. The partnership comes as a fairly sudden announcement, though this is the beginning of a process that would take more than 4 years to plan and to build. Youngkin says this would be a huge win for the economy here.
It also represents an extraordinary economic opportunity. Over the life of this project, 30,000 new jobs and an estimated $12 billion of economic activity to be generated in the Commonwealth and in the city of Alexandria.
All positivity from the leaders here at the event this morning announcing the proposal. However, there is some hesitation and some concern among community members. I'll get into that a little later.
Haley, are project leaders saying how much money this could bring to Alexandria?
Yeah, Mark, they're floating out $12 billion as the number that would be generated by the Sports and Entertainment District, but they're not saying over what time period that would take place. I spoke to Mayor Justin Wilson of Alexandria, and he said $12 billion flowing into the local economy here. But again, we don't know if that's in just the first couple of years or the first decade. Mark?
All right, Haley, thank you. And right now, as Virginia gears up to welcome Washington's teams, fans in the district and beyond are already anticipating that big move, Mark.
Our Randy Bass is live outside their current home at Capital One Arena. Randy, how are fans feeling right now?
Yeah, Mark and Elisa, even though this possible move is still several years away, fans are already feeling some type of way about what could happen here with Capital One Arena and the Wizards and Capitals and their move to Alexandria. Many of those fans are gearing up for the game that's getting set to happen here in just a couple of hours here at Capital One Arena. It's the first game these teams will play. The Wizards will play tonight at 7 o'clock. It's the first game since this news broke. Emotions, though, running high among fans. Some of them posting online today saying it's devastating for them and, of course, for downtown D.C. Some season ticket holders even threatening to cancel going forward. Other fans say they've stuck by the team during tough times and they feel like they're up and leaving them behind. One fan we caught up with today says it's disappointing, but could be a sign of better things ahead.
For someone who does live in D.C., obviously it hurts seeing that, but hopefully in the future, or other teams maybe like the Commanders could move into D.C. to balance that out. The Wizards hasn't done super well in the last few years, but obviously with rebuilding and everything, hopefully it's a new start and they're start fresh. Yeah, you see that sign there for the district, but not for much longer after today's announcement. Fans who are planning to stick around for the ride tell us the new arena's proximity to Metro is a big plus for them, and they are willing to make some trips across the river to go to their games. Of course, tonight's game, though, going to be the first time we really get a chance to chat with a ton of fans and really get the pulse of what's happening among the fan base for both the Wizards and the Capitals tonight here at Capital One Arena. Stick with us all afternoon and evening long as we continue to bring you live team coverage. Live in Washington, I'm Randy Bass, DC News Now.
Randy, thank you. Meanwhile, protesters were outside of this morning's announcement making their voices heard in opposition to the proposal.
Go away, don't come to Potomac Yard.
One group was Moms Against Monumental. Those with the group say that they'd rather have better schools instead of a new arena. A different set of protesters saying the deal is economically not good for the area and it plays tax jurisdictions against each other. Some protesters feeling blindsided by the announcement.
It brings tons of things that upset this balance that we have achieved, and so we're pushing back. And also the process. Like, there was no transparency. They just come in and drop this bomb on us.
There's plenty of economic activity here. The idea that a stadium is some sort of magic fairy dust, point me to the economic activity that surrounds FedEx Field. Look at the situation that's happening in Chinatown right now. There's plenty of hockey games, plenty of basketball games, and businesses are leaving.
Well, we'll have reaction from those involved coming up later in the hour.
All right, we'll get back to our team coverage in just a few minutes, but first let's take a look outside, a live look at Roslyn this afternoon. Looking beautiful, the sun peeking out on there.
Yeah, that's a nice look indeed. Let's go over to Brittany Ward with a first look at our forecast.
Good evening, guys. As we head into your evening, make sure you have the jacket on hand because temperatures will quickly fall into the 20s. But satellite and radar are kind of showing you the overall picture. We had that cold front. That's what swept through this afternoon. And behind it, we are dealing with those chillier temperatures. High pressure just off to the west. That will begin to slip its way into our area as we end out your work week, providing us with plenty of sunshine both Thursday and heading into your Friday. So temperatures right now, they have started to dip from our high. 49 is the current temperature in D.C., 44 currently in Hagerstown, lower 50s though as you head over there to Woodstock and Luray. Overall, the rest of your evening will slowly begin to see those temperatures dip down into the upper 30s as we head into that 7 o'clock hour, but notice those clouds finally rolling their way out of our area. We'll be seeing mostly clear skies as we head through your entire evening. By that 9 o'clock hour, we start to see those temperatures dip down into the upper 30s. So looking ahead, the next 3 days, well, tomorrow it's going to be a chilly afternoon. Highs really struggle to get out of the upper 40s, but notice we're going to be holding holding on to the sunshine as we head into your Friday. We start to see a warming trend Friday afternoon with highs rebounding into the upper 50s. And we're going to be holding on to the upper 50s as we kickstart your weekend. Next 3 days looks to stay dry, but as we end out your weekend and kickstart your work week, that will be the next chance for us to see a few more showers roll their way into the DMV. So definitely keep it here. We'll talk more about that forecast and what to expect coming up.
Brittany, thank you. Well, to keep the Wizards and Caps in the district, Mayor Muriel Bowser and Phil Mendelssohn responded with a proposal to invest in the Capital One Arena, including $500 million to go towards renovations.
Yeah, lots of money, but will that proposal be enough to keep the teams in the district?
Our political and government reporter Leonard N. Fleming is in our newsroom right now. Leonard, what have you learned about what led up to today's discussion?
Mark and Annalisa, the mayor recently found out how serious these negotiations were with Virginia to lure these two teams away from downtown D.C. And she met with Monumental's owner on Sunday to discuss the city's offer. But the mayor kept saying over and over, this is not a done deal yet. Last night, city officials made a last-ditch effort to keep Ted Leonis, the owner of Monumental Sports and Entertainment, from fleeing to Virginia. DC's proposal includes $500 million offer in public financing toward the rehabbing of Capital One Arena, as well as a lease extension that would keep the Caps and Wizards in DC until 2052. But Monumental asked for $600 million. The mayor still sounds optimistic that the teams aren't leaving.
We've always known the type of possibility that they had in Virginia. We don't know the numbers, and I think after the event today, we still don't know the numbers. I didn't hear a lot of specifics, and I didn't hear any of you ask any questions about the specifics. So I think understanding the numbers will give us an idea of what we're up against.
The mayor said today that a senior citizen told her that if one door closes, another door opens, and that very well could be a reference to the constant negotiations the city has with the Washington Commanders to lure them back to D.C. from Maryland. Reporting in the newsroom, Leonard N. Fleming, D.C. News Now, back to you.
Leonard, thank you. And today, Mayor Muriel Bowser was asked about how the impact of crime may have played a part in the decision.
Our experience with crime is kind of a blip. It's a phenomenon, and we can look back over the last several years and see a lot of contributing factors, but we will drive it down. So I don't know that they characterize it that way to us. I did have the opportunity to hear part of Ted's comments earlier, and what I was struck by was when he said he had goosebumps going and having the opportunity to build from scratch.
Now, we looked at the latest data from MPD this year and found a slight increase in crime within 2,000 feet of Capital One Arena, with 71 robberies nearby this year. Last year, there were 47 robberies reported. There were also 87 vehicles stolen in the area.